We have the objective to put Africa as a priority on the map of our colleagues around the world. As you can hear, I'm not South African. I'm from Italy, from Europe, and we still tend to think that that's the center of the world. But the reality is very different. No? And honestly, while we discussed a lot along the last 10-15 years around BRICS and all the emerging markets and China and India, Africa was never a focus of the conversation. When we look at the opportunities and the growth that the African continent is expecting to have in the next 10 to 20 years, that's amazing. You know? And it's something that is not really a focus today, so we would like to start to fill that gap with the Africa Media Index.
During your presentation, you mentioned Africa as a priority area for GroupM. What will that entail in terms of your strategy and your approach to the work that you do?
So far, I think we have been operating quite siloed country by country. So yes, we have a few clients that we serve currently across Africa, but the reality is that the South African operation, the Kenyan operation, the Nigerian operation have been well per se, but a bit disconnected one from the other. I think the major element here is to connect all our people and our foot on the ground, which is not just in those 3 markets, but I would say in 12 markets today, and work together. And that means also, let's say, in some markets giving support, because clearly we have a very strong international networks, and you might say that, let's say, the approach, the strategic depth is not exactly the same everywhere. No? So working together, we can definitely enhance the level of our talents market by market into a connected network across Sub-Saharan Africa.
There was a lot of findings coming out of the report. Was there any that surprised you or really stood out for you?
I think probably the most surprising thing, and again, as I'm a non-African, is the fact that there's so much difference across the markets. No? We tend to have a simplified vision that Africa is a continent, or Sub-Saharan Africa is a group of very similar markets. The reality is so different. No? We've seen how Kenya and Somalia, just to talk about East Africa, being neighbors, are so different one from the other. Now you have Kenya, which is a very, very developed economy, very tech-oriented, impressive mobile and internet penetration, and on the other side of the border you have Ethiopia, is a 100 million people market, by the way, with a fantastic economy in the sense that they're growing faster than most of the other market, but internet penetration is at the low, say, 15%, and that's due to the fact that most of the media and the ICT company are state-owned and have been for many years so far. So the market is not open and competitive and liberalized yet. That means that they have an even bigger opportunity, because these are all things that will happen in the next 10 to 20 years.